Hi everyone, thank you for visiting this video, and in this video I want to share more about my learning points that I already learned in this particular course. What is the course? So the course is Global Economy and International Business. Before we begin, please click like or subscribe, or maybe you can like later. And before we begin, I want to thank you, Prof. Roy, and also Bu Yulita that taught not only me but our EMBA student for IPME business. Thank you, and I think we can go on to the first learning point that I got. Let's talk about the global economy. So in this day, we can find that we live in new economy. And what does it mean? New economy mean new market structure, new industry structure, new firm structure, and also new business model. And that's the effect of the globalization. And we can see that these are the three pillars of the new economy. Cost reduction, talk about the reduction of interaction and also the transformation costs. And the second one is around the customer service, that the customer expect to be better one in these days with more choices and long hour service, and also like just one click away to get the service. And the third pillar is about the transparency and also competition with the faster natural selection and with the cheaper price that the customer expect. So the client or the customer not only one of that but like all of that in this era. With that expectation, so the global economy got a lot of disruption, and one of the biggest disruption is digital disruption. But other than that, we also saw rising debt and debt ratio, trade war, budget deficit, and the list goes on. So we come to the VUCA era, which are volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and also ambiguity. But when we have the opportunity, our entrepreneur side can change it to the positive side, and we can grow more business in that opportunity era. And with that disruption, we also thought about the Schrodinger cat. So the company has the pattern that after they already stuck, then the performance of the company decrease. But in this Schrodinger cat experimentation, that before our revenue, our performance getting slower or even decrease, we need to increase the innovation. So therefore, we create another growth. And how about Indonesia in this disruption time? So according to Nobel Prize winner 2018 in economic science, Paul Romer said that Indonesia is on the right track. But we don't need to satisfy yet. We have some area that we improve. Prof. Roy said like 5 aspects that we need to improve, from healthcare, labor market, infrastructure, capability of innovation, and also skills. And to improve that, we need to make sure that we have resources, participation, and collaboration at all levels to realize our nation goal. Let's zoom out again about the globalization. So, some countries are better equipped than others to produce particular goods or services, and we call it the advantage of the country. And we can categorize that to two. The first one is when they got the absolute advantage. This country have the ability to produce a specific product more efficiently than any other nation. While the second one is about the comparative advantage, when this country have the ability to produce a specific product more efficiently than any other product. So what's the example? Okay, I will keep it and discuss more later. And talk about the company. The company have internal opportunities that around investment and also financing. For investment opportunity, this company got bigger return when they expand the opportunity and see the possible projects from the countries that they have business. While the financing opportunities when they got capital funding at a lower cost due to their larger opportunity. So Prof. Roy also taught us about the international financial management tasks. That are 6 of them. The first one is choose a capital structure. The second one is raise funds for the firm, working capital and cash flow management, capital budgeting, managing currency risk, and also manage the diversity of international accounting and tax practices. So in terms of the tax of the multinational company, they have direct tax, which imposed from their business profit, intra-corporate transaction, capital gains, and so on. And also they got the indirect tax, where this tax come from the license or franchise products and services who charge interest. And this third one is about the sales tax. So how about value added tax? Imagine that you buy something from Amazon and they require you to pay for the tax for your purchases. So that is value added tax, and we usually call it VAT. And one term also come from the internal taxation called tax havens. So if you heard that these countries hospitable to business and also investment because of their low corporate income taxes, so that are tax havens. These countries are Bahamas, Luxembourg, Monaco, Singapore, and multinational entrepreneurs take advantage of these tax havens by establishing operation in that country and also by funneling business transaction through them. So let's move on to the international monetary and also financial environment. We begin with the risk in international businesses. We have 4 risks. Start from the cross-cultural risks. We have like cultural differences, negotiation patterns, decision-making style, ethical practices. And the second one is about the country risk. This risk is around harmful or unstable political system. And for the third one is about the commercial risk, weak partner, timing of entry, poor execution of strategy. And the last one is about the currency or financial risk, like currency exposure, asset valuation, foreign transaction, and so on. And I think we can go deeper to the currency and exchange rate. And this class also taught us about subprime mortgage crisis in 2007 to 2009, and also like the impact of that crisis. Okay, so what drives international trade? We go back to comparative advantage that we already mentioned before. So the basis for comparative advantage is about the divergent opportunity costs between the countries. So for the national comparative advantage is the ability of one nation to perform an activity or produce a good or service at a lower opportunity cost than any other nation. And we also learn about the tariff and quota. Tariff is a tax on imports, while quota is a physical limit on import quantity. And the analysis of tariffs and quotas is called commercial policy. The consumer surplus is the value of a good or service that is in excess of what consumer has to pay, while on the other side, producer surplus is the revenue received by producer that is in excess of the minimum they need to produce a given amount. So for the company, we already talked about the international opportunities, the financial management, and also risk. And how about strategy? Because strategy is the foundation of our company. So in terms of the strategic objective, we usually have three. The first one is about the efficiency. Second one is about the flexibility, and lastly is about learning. If we work in multinational company, or if we want to drive our companies to go beyond Indonesia, and we need to think about the global industry. So the competition is not only in the regional but also in the worldwide scale. And we need to think about the global integration. Global integration is like how do we coordinate our firm's value chain activities to multiple countries. So our services become consistent in every countries that we tap on. And also we need to think about the local responsiveness, because it's quite different from one country to another country. So with that in mind, you can pick from these four strategic choice. Global strategy if you want to centralize due to operational issues, or you want to go the opposite way with the localization strategy. You decentralize the process to emphasize more on local responsiveness. Or you want to go with international strategy. So your core competencies can be centralized. However, you decentralize the foreign subsidiaries. Or you can go with the last one, transnational strategy, where you mix centralized for location and experience curve economies, and decentralized for your local responsiveness. And these four strategies have their trade-offs, so you really need to think carefully about the cost and also about the local responsiveness. After you decide the strategy, then you can continue to think about marketing. For marketing, you can use this framework for marketing in the international firm. And you can start it first with the core one. It's about the adaptation, or do you want to go with standardization? And you need to decide these two to your branding and also product development, to your pricing, to your distribution, and also how you communicate with the customer. And it relates to the second layer of the framework about where you want to target the customer. What is the customer segment, and also what do you want to position yourself. And this global marketing strategy also relate to the external analysis from the culture, political, legal, monetary, financial environment of your firm. Not to forget about the event analysis, the presentation that our group prepare for the presentation. We talk about trade war, global pandemic, digital era, green climate issue, and also Russia-Ukraine war that affect a lot of things in the global economy and have a domino effect not only into the country that had that issue, but the other country and also the global effect. Thank you for listening and watching this video. Hopefully it is useful for you and also your company. Please share to your friends, your family, and your colleagues. And thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.